Ukraine, Canada, the Philippines. His music has reached every corner of the globe. Arrangements, choir pieces, even operas. Everyone can find something from his vast repertoire to enjoy. We went out to learn more about world-renowned composer Viktor Stepurko. After laying on a dusty shelf for 3 decades, one of the early works by composer Viktor Stepurko was finally heard on stage and radio. The premiere of a music setting of poems by famous Ukrainian poet Ivan Drach called Triptych took place as a part of the Radio Culture project. This is a rare piece because Drach's poems are seldom set to music. But this piece managed to accurately convey the spirit of the poem.
Здесь настолько тонко и удачно выражено было, скажем, характер этого произведения, и оно 1984.
It was composed in 1984, and now the premiere has finally happened. Adaptations of Ukrainian folk songs, arrangements of Ukrainian pieces for different orchestras and ensembles, musical compositions based on folk melodies. These are the main areas of composing that Viktor Stepurko decided to pursue. He is often invited to collaborate with folk instrument ensembles, folk music bands, bandura trios, famous singers, and instrumentalists. This is my Ukrainian essence. I've been working with these groups for a long time. It all started when a colleague of mine, a composer, introduced me to Viktor Hutzl, and I began writing music for the National Orchestra of Folk Instruments. After that, the former head of Folk and Popular Music Orchestra at the Ukrainian National Radio approached me and asked me to write something for his orchestra. At that time, I was very much into avant-garde music. Working with these orchestras brought me back into folk music, back into my element. Viktor Stepurko is a composer, conductor, and tutor. He graduated from Donetsk Music College and then the Kiev Music Conservatory. He was in the conductor choir faculty and then the composing faculty under different famous Ukrainian composers. He's a laureate of multiple art awards, mainly for composing. He's a member of the board of Kiev Department of the National Union of Composers of Ukraine. Viktor is the leader of the Stepurko Ensemble, a teacher of the Academy of Senior Executors in Culture, an honored artist of Ukraine, and a laureate of the Taras Shevchenko National Award. Viktor Stepurko has created many works in different musical genres. He wrote several symphony pieces, choir cycles, pieces for choir and orchestra, songs for children, and operas, and has arranged multiple Ukrainian folk songs and original music pieces. People should not be ashamed of writing light music that causes a desire to sing or listen to it. Vocal melodies by Stepurko breathe with the listener, and that's the most important thing for a composer. All composers want to show how modern or how technical they are, making it hard for them to write music that's actually easy to play. Viktor Stepurko, however, writes different music. I see him as an author of a modern Ukrainian opera, maybe with a historical plot. I would also like to note that he's a very spiritual man. He's very sincere, and so is his music. He's so talented. I really wish he'd create a big opera piece.
Хочеться побажати, щоб він написав таку оперу.
Есть композиторы, которые идут традиционным путем, скажем.
There are composers who choose a traditional way. They look for forms, combinations, and find themselves making symphonies. This is considered prestigious, but many composers don't realize how rich folk music really is. Victor, however, is a very talented man, and he's able to find new possibilities in traditional national forms. He's looking for his own tone, which I wish our composers did as well.
Хотелось бы пожелать нашим композиторам.
Several years ago, Viktor Stepurko began his cooperation with the Bandurist trio from the National Radio of Ukraine. As a result, several concert programs as well as multiple music pieces were recorded for the fund of the National Radio.
Бандуру Віктор Іванович знає настільки досконало і так.
Victor knows Bandura well. He's extremely attentive to the Bandura tone. Each sound, each section, each instrument has its own tone, and he listens to the overall sound of the trio. We like playing his music very much, and we're very, very happy to be co-creators of his works.
Творцями.
The art of composing academic and folk music is not as widely covered by the media as, say, show business. Music festivals are a great opportunity to perform and to hear music pieces. In Ukraine, these festivals are the season premieres and Kiev Music Fest.
На ці фестивалі ми подаємо просто свої заявки.
We apply to participate in a festival, and the festival invites and pays the performers. Thank God these festivals exist. In addition, there are student bands that perform our pieces, the ones that are presented in their curriculum. Among them, the Glyer Institute Choir, Conservatory Choir, and different university choirs, and the professional artists such as Dumka, Kiev, Krishatic choirs, Blagovist Ensemble. You can hear them perform at festivals or even taking part in special projects. Fortunately, the tradition of performing at authors' nights has been preserved in Ukraine. At these events, you can listen to some of the composer's older works, and the composer, in turn, has additional motivation to create something new. He's one of the best choir composers of our time. He understands choir music very well, and he expresses himself with great talent. The main thing is that he writes what he hears. You can feel it, and that's why the result is so wonderful. I believe that the composer whose works are performed the most often is him. I know that many bands that play his pieces, including our group, who play a lot of his works too.
И в нашем коллективе, в частности, довольно много произведений этого автора.
The choir fantasy Wonderful Wonder, otherwise known as Creation of the World, is present in every respectable choir's repertoire. This composition is immensely popular, and there's a rather interesting story behind it.
Суть в тому, що цей твір я написав для...
I wrote this piece for the boy choir of the Lysenko Music College by the request of a conductor. But when she tried to stage it, the rehearsals were a disaster. The children were noisy, constantly laughing. They were unable to take the intricacies of the piece seriously at all. I mean, all those swallowed screeches, noise imitations, the different sound effects, and everything else.
Про це почув Ігор Михайлович Циклінський.
After time passed, when a conductor performed Wonder with his choir from the Drohobych at an international contest in Debrecen, the sheet music spread all over the world. And recently, I even found that a well-known choir from the Philippines sings it, and even here in Europe.
Причому, кажуть, видатний хор, співав це на якомусь міжнародному конкурсі.
And this piece also became very popular thanks to Viktor Stepurko. Not long ago, Ukraine rediscovered the works by composer Bogdan Veselovsky. Born in Lviv, later an immigrant to Canada, he was popular in the beginning of the 20th century as a brilliant composer of light, entertaining music. Foxtrots, waltzes, tangos, love songs make the major part of his rather large legacy. Musical arrangements by Viktor Stepurko have renewed interest in those works. Veselovsky's music, as well as his name, is being heard again.
До мене звернувся хор «Веснівка» з Канади, який замовив...
A Canadian choir called Vesnivka asked me to arrange music by Bogdan Veselovsky for a female band and a jazz band. I wrote a whole cycle, but the choir only performed my choir adaptations. Veselovsky's music touched me deeply, which made me do the complete project. So I spoke with the Blagovist ensemble and we presented the project. It's not a secret that making a living as a composer is pretty hard, so composers are not only composers, but also arrangers, conductors, and tutors. I don't believe that composing can be someone's profession. You can earn something by completing occasional individual orders, but it's hard and inconsistent work. So I decided that teaching was the way to go. I teach and I have some art projects running simultaneously. In other words, composing for me is more of a hobby than it is a profession.
Хобі – це не професія, композиторська творчість, так я би сказав.
The funny thing is, the works of composers are what make people remember their names, and Viktor Stepurko has written a lot of wonderful music that's being actively performed and will still be performed for many years to come.
Я не люблю слухати свою музику.
I don't like listening to my own music. I'm afraid to fall under the influence of my own style, so I'm constantly in search of something new. I'm not in love with myself, and I've no desire to listen to my own work. It's a completely different story when I hear my music being played and it brings me back into the state of mind in which I was when I wrote the piece. I'm happy to remember what I felt at the time and how it sounds now. And that's the most beautiful thing in art, to hear the echo of what you once said.
Почути, що відгук того, про що ти сказав.